Hi, I'm Tony Vanilla, the owner of Tony V Carpentry, and I built your floating nightstand. Now I'll give you a quick step-by-step instructions on how to safely and securely attach it to the wall. Let's get started. First, let's review the materials that arrived with your nightstand. Besides the nightstand itself, you should have 1 French cleat wall mount, 5 yellow truss head screws, 5 zinc sheet metal screws and washers, and 5 drywall anchors. Keep in mind you will not need all these materials and will have leftovers at the end. Also, if you ever need extra or replacement hardware, reach out to me on Etsy or through my website and I'll be happy to send you extras at no additional cost. Next, let's review the tools that you will need to install your nightstand. You will need a level, a screwdriver, a Phillips head bit, a Torx or star head bit, a pencil, a drill with an 1/8 inch drill bit, measuring tape, and a stud finder. If you need to purchase any of these tools, I've posted Amazon links to affordable versions of all of these tools in the description below. To start, we need to determine what kind of wall you will be attaching your nightstand to. This will help us decide which set of included hardware is going to work best for your wall. If you do not know what type of wall you have, start by drilling a small hole into your wall and inspect the debris remaining on the bit. If you see small wood chips like you see here, you have a wood-backed wall and will only need the yellow truss screws to attach your nightstand to the wall. If you don't see any wood chips and only see bits of drywall, you have a drywall-only wall and will need to take advantage of the anchors and sheet metal screws in addition to using the yellow truss screws when drilling into the stud. Use this simple chart to help you determine which hardware to use for your wall. If you have brick, concrete, tile, or another type of solid wall, unfortunately this video will not help you hang your floating nightstand and you will need to refer to another solid wall anchoring video to properly attach your nightstand to your wall. Next, you need to check your wall for outlets, plugs, switches, piping, or other electrical wiring or plumbing that could be drilling hazards. I have an outlet located near my drilling area. Luckily, I'm able to look behind my wall and track these wires away from my drilling area and know that I'm safe to drill in this area. If you're unable to track wires away from your drilling area, you can follow the link in the description to an endoscope, which will allow you to look behind the wall to track wires away from your drilling area. Okay, now that we've inspected the wall and determined that it's safe to drill here, it's time to begin mounting our cleat to the wall. Because these are heavy, solid oak nightstands, it's imperative that when we send our screws in, they're going into studs. So we're going to start looking for studs behind our wall. We will begin by setting the height of the French cleat and nightstand. The height that you will be drilling into the wall is 3 inches below the height that you want the top of your nightstand to sit. I want the top of my nightstand to be at 27 inches, so I will be attaching my cleat at 24 inches from the floor. With your height marked, take your level and mark a level horizontal line across your wall and the area that you would like to hang your nightstand. Once the line is drawn, I will run my stud finder along the 24-inch high line and mark the location of the studs behind the wall. Remember, we want to ensure that each nightstand is mounted to at least 1, if not 2 studs. Once I find the studs, I will score a line where each stud begins and ends so I know exactly where I can drill. With your studs located, you can hold your cleat up to the wall and plan for where you would like to attach the cleat along the 3 mounting slots. Ideally, the central slot will be reserved for a screw that is going into a stud. Once you have determined the position of your cleat, hold the cleat up to the wall and use a screw inside the slots to lightly scratch the drywall. This will leave a light mark on the wall, helping you to transfer the positions of your second and third slots. Once you have finished, you have 3 clear areas to drive a truss screw if you have a wood-backed wall, or mount a drywall anchor if you have a drywall-only wall. If you are using drywall anchors, set them into your wall with either a screwdriver or a drill with a Phillips head drill bit. Press the center of the anchor tip slightly into the drywall while the outer cutting edges are touching the wall surface. Apply pressure as you turn the anchor until it is flush with the drywall. Begin by using your 1/8 inch drill bit to pre-drill a hole into the stud or studs that you will be mounting to. Now, hold your cleat up to the wall, ensuring that the lip of the cleat is facing out from the wall, and use your star bit to drive a truss screw 95% of the way into the stud. Do not fully secure this screw yet. Next, place your level on top of the cleat to level it before driving your other screws into the wall. Remember, if you're driving into a stud or a wooden wall, use the truss screws. If you're driving into wall anchors, use a sheet metal screw with a washer. Once all 3 or more screws are in place, return to the first screw and drive it 100% into the stud until the cleat is firmly attached to the wall so there's no wiggling or movement. You should be able to put a good amount of pressure onto the cleat without it moving. Begin by removing the drawer from the nightstand cabinet. You can do this by pulling the drawer out until it reaches its limits. Look on the left side of the drawer for a lever on the side that needs to be pulled down and a lever on the right side that needs to be pulled up. They are opposite, so be sure to be lifting one up and pressing one down. Engage both levers at the same time and gently wiggle the drawer off of its drawer slides. If it's not coming off at first, make sure that each lever is fully engaged. It can feel a little rough once the drawer is off of its slides, but don't worry, you're not harming the drawer slides as you pull the drawer out. Once the drawer is out, you can place the cabinet onto the cleat. Allow the corresponding cleat on the back of the nightstand to slide securely into place between the mounted cleat and the wall. If the cabinet sags or wobbles, you have not secured the cleat to the wall tightly enough. If this is the case, remove the cabinet from the wall and re-secure your cleat to the studs. Once your cabinet is secured against the wall, reach inside of the cabinet and poke a screw through the slot at the bottom of the cabinet. Press this screw through the slot and into the wall to make a small marking on the wall before lifting the cabinet back off of the cleat. If the spot you marked is a stud or a wood-paneled wall, pre-drill a hole into the wall. If the marking is against drywall, repeat the process of inserting a drywall anchor into that spot. Once you're finished, set the cabinet back on the cleat and reach a drill into the back of the cabinet to drive your final screw into the wall. This screw is not structural and does not need to be over-tightened. It's important because the final screw prevents the nightstand from being unintentionally lifted off of the cleat and falling once it's installed. Be sure to only tighten this final screw until the head of the screw is up against the front of the slot, but do not over-tighten the screw and unseat the nightstand from its cleat. Once your final screw is in place, reinsert your drawer back into the nightstand cabinet. Be sure the slides are aligned on either side and slowly wiggle the drawer back and forth until it reaches the back of the cabinet, at which point the drawer should glide smoothly along the drawer slides. Alright, your floating nightstand should now be securely fastened to the wall. The wall anchors and truss screws are rated for hundreds of pounds, which is much more than you'd ever realistically place on top of your nightstand. That being said, it is solid oak, it's very heavy, and force on top of the nightstand is actually being transferred to the drywall or plaster wall behind it, and those might not be as strong. So when you're placing heavy objects such as large vases, stacks of books, on top of the nightstand, avoid placing them to the front edge of the nightstand and instead place them closer to the back cleat. Also, always prevent children or pets from climbing or jumping on the nightstand. This could cause the hardware or supporting wall to fail. Thank you so much for your support of Tony V Carpentry. I hope you enjoy your floating nightstand for years to come. If you ever need any replacement parts, feel free to reach out to me on Etsy or through my website, which are both included down in the description. Again, thank you so much for your purchase and support.